Hi everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. Today I want to show you how to make a really fun fancy fold. I first saw this from a card that Lisa Curcio shared using the Merry Bold and Bright. It's a pop-up fan fold card, and it's not as hard as it looks. That's the fun thing about this. Actually, that's a lot of fun fold cards or fancy fold cards look really hard, but when you actually have made one, they're not as hard as what you think they are. So thanks to Lisa Curcio for the amazing video and instructions. I'm going to use the Magical Meadows suite. And so I'm sharing this as part of the Creativity Abounds blog hop today. Our theme this month is holidays. And so, of course, this is wintry, can be Christmas, doesn't have to be Christmas, but it's definitely a wintry theme. And so I'm going to show you how I made one last night in my online class. And I only got it partly finished, so I can show you what it looks like, and we'll go ahead and recreate it today and then finish it up. So I'm going to, on my blog, and the link to my blog post is underneath this video. The measurements are both in imperial and metric, depending on what paper you use. I'm not going to talk about measurements on my video today, so please refer to that link for the measurements for the pieces, and you'll find them, like I said, both in metric and imperial. It just gets too confusing to go back and forth with measurements in both systems in the video. Okay, I'm going to switch over and we'll get started. All right, so first of all, this is the Magical Meadows suite or bundle. It's part of the Winter Meadows suite. It has gorgeous, the stamps are gorgeous. It's a distinctive stamp, so you get that extra detail on it. The images are 80% in these on the cover, but so they are 20% larger than what they appear. And of course, you have the amazing dies. Looks like I cut a piece off, but that's okay. I was going to cut these die cuts up, so we'll take that off. There we go. Okay, so you have some dies that will cut out standalone pieces, and you will also have, of course, the dies to cut the stamped images. And then this one will cut out berries for one of this stamped image. You can put berries on. And this little piece is, it actually, I'm calling it an embossing die because it actually cuts out the little snowflakes, like cuts that impression into your paper. So it's a really cool way, as opposed to an embossing folder, this actually cuts the little holes and into that pattern. So it's really cool. Okay, so that's the bundle I'm going to be using. Now, let me show you the skeleton card that I created last night in my class. So it is a little wider than what a normal card would be, just because it's got lots of stuff on the inside. So in Canada, it probably will cost extra to mail this. It's got a belly band on it. But when you open it, look at this, wow. Like I said, it's not finished, but we'll finish all of this little accordion steps, and they kind of unfold when you open the card. So it's really a fun card. Okay, so let me show you how to make this card. Now you do need your trimmer, and you do need your bone folder. So I've got some pieces partly cut, so let's take those off. I'm using Blueberry Bushel and some shaded spruce, and then Designer Series paper. Okay, so there are three pieces of cardstock that you need. This one is basically half a sheet. Again, I'm not going to give you the measurements. Go to my blog and get them. But it's half a sheet cut lengthways of cardstock. And then it's scored. Actually, let me get my scoring because I want to make sure. It's scored in two places to create this. Where's my card? Create this booklet kind of fold. So if you can see here, there is a, it's not like where you fold a card in half and just get that one score line. There are two score lines here, and it creates a booklet fold. So these are scored roughly just offside of middle. Again, go and grab them for wherever you live that's appropriate. So I'm just going to go ahead and score. I think I've got that in the right spot. And okay. All right, so I've got mine scored, and I'm going to take, you do want your bone folder handy. So take and always score into the raised line. Just give those a really good burnish. They both fold the same way, so you do get that kind of flat booklet end on this card. So when you look at it, and I thought I'd done that wrong. Huh. Okay, let me think about this again, because clearly I scored that in the wrong place. So, all right, clearly I wasn't following my own instructions. So let's do that again. And there. Okay, let's try that again. Is that right now? There we go. All right, I got it run. Okay, so we'll give this a good burnish. The measurements are right in the blog post. I just can't read my own instructions on my piece of paper. All right, there we go. So we've got our booklet fold. Like I said, it's got this little flat surface on the end. Okay, so then you need to cut. Now, this will depend. If you want an extra layer, so I'm going to put just a little peekaboo of, in this case, I've got shaded spruce. And then you need 3 pieces of designer series paper. So these are just a peekaboo, just a titch and smaller than this layer. If you don't want to put this layer on, you don't have to. You could just put the designer series paper. I've got a little bit of rough edge. But I like that kind of peekaboo of the shaded spruce in this case. So I'm going to adhere 1 piece of my designer series paper. Oh my goodness. I have a really bad habit. If you don't follow me, I say this all the time. I have a really bad habit of leaving my caps off my glue when I'm finished, which is a really bad habit to get into, because then you get clots and you have to kind of work that clot out. So we'll open a new glue. So I'm just using liquid glue to adhere this designer series paper to this piece of cardstock. So this is going to be the front of my card. I really love this piece of designer series paper. That's part of the suite. And then this piece will adhere to the front of the card. And my boo-boo with my cutting or my scoring magically goes away, which is really nice. Okay, so I've got my front mostly done. And then these 2 extra pieces of designer series paper are cut the same size, and they're going to go in the inside. Now you could cut them, or you could have the same piece if you wanted to. I just have taken one that is more all blueberry bushel, so that's going to go just on the top like that. So there's no extra layer behind these. This is just the designer series paper adhered on to the card base. Okay, so this is the, for the most part, the easy part. We've got our main part of our card base done. So now we're going to work on the pop-up section. So you need a piece of cardstock. Now, again, I'm not going to give you, well, I'm going to try and not give you the measurements. But so this piece is actually going to be, so we're going to score the whole thing first, and then we're going to take and cut it into strips. And these strips are the pieces that will form the pop-up mechanism that are the cards. So all of these pieces that the white circles are attached to is what we're working on. So it's easy. We're just going to kind of take a step out of it, in that we're going to score this whole thing first, and then we're going to cut it into strips. So again, the measurements and what you're going to score this at is on my blog, but we're going to score along the long side. So we're going to score, in this case, So I'm just gonna, so I'm scoring it. In this case, this is imperial, so don't panic. You'll find the metric ones on my blog. So it's a 3 and 3/4, 4 and a half, and then 7 and a half. So that's the imperial scoring. And so jump over to blog and find it. Now this is wide enough for 6 strips. So these are imperial 1-inch strips. So I've turned it 90 degrees, and we're now going to cut this piece into 6 identical strips. These strips are more or less the same size in metric as they are in imperial, but I just won't confuse you by giving you the metric measurements. Just the link to the blog post is underneath, and it has a table with all of this in it, all of the measurements. Okay, so I've got my 6 pieces cut. Okay, so we're going to work on this. You have to do exactly the same to all of these, but we're going to fold. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 score lines on this. So basically they all fold the same way. So you can fold into the mountain on all of them, and you can either just kind of finger fold them, or you can give them a good burnish with your bone folder. Now it's going to go from this side. So it's going to go mountain, valley, mountain, and then this little tiny flap at the bottom is going to be a valley fold. So you end up with a piece that kind of looks like, if you fold it like that, looks like a Christmas tree. What we're going to do is we're going to take and adhere. So we're going to use a little bit of, you can use liquid glue, you can use tear and tape, you can use Stamp and Seal, whatever your favorite adhesive is, but we're going to put a little bit of glue on that tiny little flap, fold it inwards, and adhere the bottom to it, trying to make sure that the edges of this line up. And I've got a little bit of glue. Okay, oopsie. And of course, liquid glue gives you a little bit of wiggle room. So you end up with a piece that looks, well, we'll do it like this because I said it was kind of like a Christmas tree, which it is. So you've got that mountain fold in the middle and then the mountain fold up here. And we're going to do the same with all of them. So again, we're just gonna, I'm just taking them and finger kind of folding, and then the little tiny flap folds upwards. So you can put this together. So again, mountain, valley, mountain, and then fold the ends together and seal it up. Got glue. If you follow me, you know I don't like glue on my fingers, and I've managed to do that. That's why sometimes using tear and tape is a little nicer. Okay, again, mountain, valley, mountain, and then fold that little flap upwards, put some glue on it. So you need 6 of these, and this is forming that pop-up mechanism in your card. Try not to get glue on my fingers. We'll just take that extra bit of glue off using my take your pick tool. Yeah. Okay, getting there. Mountain, valley, mountain. Little flap folds upwards, a little bit of glue. And get that sealed. This is probably the most time-consuming part of this card, is this middle pop-up section. Mountain, valley, mountain. Hold the flap up. Add your adhesive. And 1 more to go. Oops, that one didn't stick. I was trying to not use so much glue so it didn't kind of squidge out, but okay, so mountain, valley, mountain on the last one. And that. Okay, so I've got all of my pieces now for the inner part of the card. This is the pop-up mechanism. Okay, so here's my card again. So these pieces all get adhered together, slightly overlapping each other. And the mount, this kind of V that is formed will be towards you. So you want that little flap that you adhered away from you. So you're going to take one. We're going to start with one and add another one. And I'm going to use tear and tape on this one just because it's a mechanism that will kind of get opened and closed a lot. And so I think the tear and tape will just give it more. So we'll put 3 together, and then we'll kind of measure it against the card and see where we're at. So I'm going to just take this piece and put tear and tape down. So this piece has got this V towards you. And so I'm putting that tear and tape on the left-hand side or the left edge of this piece. And I'm going to take this next piece again with this V towards me. I'm going to adhere this with the edges aligned with about halfway. So this is overlapping about halfway, like that. So you end up with 2 pieces now together, one on top of the other. And you're going to repeat this. So we'll do one more, and then I'm going to take and kind of line it up in the card and show you how to line it up, because it's going to go kind of across the card about the width of the designer series paper. Okay, so one more, again, about halfway, just under halfway, and lined up like that. So we've got our 3 pieces. And if I find my card again, so on the inside of my card, we're going to attach this. So this is going to line up across the top like this, just above, almost at this first. There are 2 score lines, so it's actually almost at the first score line, above, just slightly above the designer series paper. But you can use the right edge of your designer series paper to help you line it up. So if I hold those in place, we're going to continue to adhere them so that they're kind of, again, over top, slightly over top of one another, like that. And as I said, it is pretty much aligned to the edge, to the left and right edge of your designer series paper. So it looks like I'm going okay. I'm just kind of lined that up just to make sure that I don't have to adjust where I'm adhering these pieces. Again, if you use liquid glue, you have a little bit of wiggle room, but I'm going to just kind of be brave and use my tear and tape just because I want some extra strength. And I'm trying to keep the top pretty close to being aligned, top and bottom. It's not exact, and I'm not too fussed. It'll be fine, but try and keep them as close to aligned as possible. So I'm going to put this last one on, and then I'm going to line it up again just to figure out this next one. And then I'm going to put it back on my my card base and use it to align the last one so that the edge of it is even with the designer series paper. Okay, so I've got this. It's lined up almost at that score line, so slightly above the designer series paper. Take the backing off the tear and tape. My take your pick tool always gets a workout when I'm making cards. Okay, and then again, lining this up. Now this one, it's going to be just, there we go. I think that's good. Okay. So again, the width of these pieces that you've adhered all together is roughly the width of the designer series paper. Now, I am also going to use tear and tape when I adhere this. So we've got our kind of fan shape that will be the inside, the pop-up mechanism for the inside of the card. We're going to adhere the back of the right hand one to the back of the card first. So I'm going to just turn it over, and I've got it at the top. I'm going to put 2 strips of tear and tape. Just like I said, you can use liquid glue, you can use Stamp and Seal, you could use Stamp and Seal Plus. It would work really well for this as well. So I've got my tear and tape. I'm just going to do one at a time. And I'm going to line this up again. I want it just above the Designer Series paper and just underneath that score line. And then I'm going to burnish it. So the only piece that is adhered is this very right-hand strip that we created. Now I'm going to take and put adhesive on the top of the last strip that we created, that folded V. So it's going to go on the top like that. And when we have this off, the backing off, we're going to kind of stretch this a little bit. So we're going to take and fold this upwards as if it was opening, but we want the bottom of this this V piece to be just below the Designer Series paper and just above that next crease. So we worked on the first crease when we adhered the right hand side, and now we're going to work, and we want to stretch this piece up so it's just below this piece of Blueberry Bushel Designer Series paper on the other side. So it's probably, let me see if I can, oopsie, move this, there we go. So hopefully you can see there are 2 creases. So we're going to put this, adhere this to just below the Designer Series paper on the top. And maybe it helps that I've got a different Designer Series paper. So we're adhering this to that blue Designer Series paper in my case. So the first one was adhered to this patterned one, and the second one was adhered to the one that is Blueberry Bushel. And so it forms that fan mechanism that when you open up your card will fan out all of the decorations that you put inside your card. Okay, so now you're going to cut little strips, and I thought I had cut, I did. Okay, I've got 6 of them. I'm going to use 5 for sure. These are what are we're going to attach them into the back side of each of the V's. So you're going to put a little strip. So these are 1 inch in imperial. They're about 2.5 centimeters in metric. So this is just going to be slightly smaller than that, and a little and longer. And so these pieces are going to be adhered just into that back side of the V. And I'm going to do 5 to start with because I haven't decided if I'm going to put one in the back. So we'll start with this one. And so you take and just adhere this to the back side of the V for each of the strips. This is what you're going to attach your die cuts or circles or whatever it is that's going to fan out. Just holding that in place until it sticks. I'm doing one at a time so I can hold it because the liquid glue takes a minute, of course, to get tacky and stick. Like that. Okay, we'll put 5 on, and then I'll explain what you have 2 choices here. So there's the 5th one. So you do have 6 kind of pop-up mechanisms on your card. So there is one here on the very left-hand side. So if you want, you can actually have something there. I think I will. But if you think it's too close to the edge of your card, you can kind of leave it. So it's up to you what you want your card to look like. So I've added that 6th one. So if you want, you can put one of these little tabs, oopsie, on each of the of the V's that we created in our mechanism, if you can see that. So the little tab has adhered to the back of that V. I have got glue going. Okay, we'll have to fix that, but that's okay. I'll fix that in a minute. Okay, so I've got my mechanism. Now, you can decorate this however you want. You can decorate it with some die cuts. You can decorate it with some circles like I've done here. So what I'm going to do for my card is I'm going to punch out 6 1 3/4 inch circles using the circle. I'm punching it out of basic white because I'm going to do some stamping, and I'm going to do 6 of them. 3, 4, 5, 6. And so I've got those. I also cut out, using the dies, some of the sprigs, which if you follow me, you know I love to use sprigs. So I'm going to do some stamping and some sprigs. And I'm going to stamp, no, I'm going to stamp in blueberry bushel and shaded spruce. And so let's just get some stamps from, okay, we'll start with a couple of stamps. Oops, I guess I need a bigger one than that. Let's try this one. That one. That one. I think we'll kind of alternate these for now. So I'm going to stamp this one. So of course my piece is my circle is much smaller. So I'm just kind of doing some stamping. I'm going to do adhere some sprigs on, but I want 6 of these. So we'll do a combination of there we go. So I'll stamp 2 of the stamps, 2 of each of those stamps, and then I'll do some sprigs as well. Okay, so let's close that up so I don't get my fingers in the glue. So we've got 4, and I need 2 more. And I did some cutting out, so I'm going to take and just use part of these. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. I don't know if you can hear that. It's middle of October, and there's a neighbor cutting their lawn. That's funny. It's been quite nice here. All right, so we're having some issues with our glue. Oh, there we go. Of course, now I got a lot. So I'm just trying to put just a little bit of glue on here. And it can pop up above. It's okay. I'm going to trim a little bit of this off. Like that. Okay. All right, so that's the bow. And if I can find some scissors. So we'll just take and cut that off like that. Still sticking up a little bit. And I'm just going to take and cut that off there. There we go. Okay, so I have my 6 pieces. I'm going to save those other ones for the belly band. So we're going to take, and I'm going to use dimensionals. So I'm just going to take and put 1 dimensional on each of the backs of these. I don't think you need more than that. Like that, and 1 more. Okay, so I've got some stamped images. So I'm going to start with one of these stamped ones. I just love this. So they're going to attach to the front side of our our little tabs. Now what you want to do is for the ones that are at the right and the bottom right and the top left, you want to make sure that that circle is on the inside of your card. You can kind of twist them afterwards, but you do want to make sure that this edge of this circle, if you're using circles, is not going to be outside the card. Yeah, this one. And I'm kind of turning the direction of them as I go. And then that one, like that. And then this again is going to, I want to make sure that the edge of this circle is on the inside of my card, like that. So now when you open this, you get this kind of fanned of all of the different sprigs. If you want to put a sentiment, you can do that. You could put it on one of these. I'd probably put it on one of the middle ones, and I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to fussy cut a sentiment out. You could put also here, and if you want to leave room for writing, I would suggest you do it on the back of your card. Okay, so let's now, I find my some more. I've got some basic white here. Here's a piece of some extra basic white. So I'm going to use the stamp that says Winter Wishes on mine. I was looking for my stamp and seal the other day and couldn't find it, and there it is right in front of me in the drawer. Okay, I'm just going to take and stamp this Winter Wishes in Blueberry Bushel, and then I'm going to fussy cut it. Oops. Out. Like that. And I'm going to attach this to, I think the circle with that shaded spruce bough on it. You don't have to fussy cut. You could punch. You could use a die cut for the label. But if you follow me, you probably know that I tend to like to fussy cut my sentiments. Okay, and we'll use a dimensional or a couple of dimensionals on the back of this. I want to make sure I'm going to put them quite in the middle because I want them to adhere to my circle, and my circle is quite small. So I'm going to take and adhere it to this this one with the bows. So now I've got my sentiment on there. So now we've got our card mostly done. We can take and finish the belly band. So I've got a piece of Blueberry Bushel cardstock. I do it, this one's fairly narrow. I sometimes do it wider than this. So in metric, this is 2.5 centimeters. In imperial, it's about an inch. When I do a belly band, I don't score it. I just take it. This is quite thick, as I said, this probably will take extra postage. I just take it and fold it gently and kind of finger press the edges, leaving enough room so that whoever gets this can take the belly band on and off fairly easily. And the other thing I do is I always put the seam on the middle so that you can't see the seam on the back of the card. I'm going to use just a little bit of liquid glue. Again, not too tight. Try and get the edges aligned, and then I'm just going to hold it. You could use tear and tape as well, or stamp and seal, but I've just used a little bit of liquid glue, and we will just hold that in place until it's stuck down. And of course I've got some glue spludged out, but that's okay. It's going to be hidden. Okay, so there is my belly band. Okay, so I did some cutting out. I punched out, I don't remember the name of this punch that's kind of got the you know, the wide scalloped edges or kind of ridges. So I cut one of those out. I punched a 2 3/8 inch circle out of vellum cardstock. So I'm going to adhere that Blueberry Bushel to the back, or by dimensional. You're not going to see much of that to vellum, but it's going to go on just a little bit of background. And again, I have got some, I love this the white and silver sheer ribbon. So I'm going to cut that much. So how much is that? That is about 8.5 inches in imperial, and I would say about 23 or 24 centimeters in metric. And I'm going to just take and use a little bit of Stamp and Seal across it, and I'm going to zigzag this back and forth like that. So that's going to be my belly band. I'm going to put it on with dimensionals, making sure that it is only sticking to the belly band itself. So I'll put the dimensionals right on the belly band, so I know that for sure. And then that's my decoration. And I went ahead and cut out some extra of these sprigs. So I'm gonna use a glue dot because I'm gonna do another sentiment. So put a glue dot on each of these. So I'll put that like that. Glue dot sticking to me. That like that. And then I'm going to do another one of these. I'm going to do another sentiment. This time I'm going to use the sentiment that says, may the season of sparkle bring joy and delight. And I'm going to do it in, I think I'm going to do this one on the front in shaded spruce. I think I've got room. I do. Okay, again, fussy cut. I'm going to fussy cut. You can use a die or a punch. So if you're not used to fussy cutting, if you steer with the hand that's holding the paper, you might find it a whole lot easier than trying to steer with your scissors. You get a much nicer cut if you do that. So I'm just turning the paper as I cut. And if you don't want a fussy cut, I completely understand. It's not for everybody. Although I think I've convinced a few people that it's not as bad as what they originally thought. Okay, again, dimensionals. So this is getting thicker and thicker. So definitely I think this card is going to be a hand-delivered card. So I'm just going to take and put that across. Okay, we are almost done. So I've got, these are the Faceted Gems Trio Pack that come as part of the Winter Meadow Suite. It comes, they're quite thick again. They come in Smoky Slate, White, and Lost Lagoon. I am going to, feeling like I needed another dimensional, but I think I'm okay. I'm going to use the white ones. And I'm going to put 3 because I tend to put them in 3s. So we'll put 2 on the belly band and one below. So there we go. There is the fancy fold. So take that off, and when you open it, you've got this really pretty fan of your decorations. Again, you could put something in here if you want to, or you could put a basic white on the back so that you've got a place to write a note. Okay, there we go. Again, hopefully you followed along, and to get the measure, go back here, to get all the measurements, click on the link to my blog post that's underneath this video, and you will have the measurements in both metric and imperial, and then you can follow along, cut them, and you can follow along with the video, and then it doesn't really matter what the measurements are because you've got everything cut and ready to go. If you have questions, please leave a comment under this video or on my blog post. I'm happy to answer them. If I haven't been clear, I really want to make sure you understand it really isn't that hard. It's just a little bit of work, and it's just such a fun card. So thanks again to Lisa Curcio for sharing it. At least that's the first person I saw that had shared it. I hope you take the time to hop through all of the blog posts from the other 12 designers in our blog hop. We love to do this, and I hope you'll take the time to look at all of our holiday themed projects. We do a blog hop every month on the third Wednesday in North America of the month. So that may vary, but it's posted at 1 o'clock Pacific on the third Wednesday of the month. So check that out in your time zone. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you have a great day and happy stamping. Bye.